Hello again, my little Guvesa, and welcome to another Viola Victory video. In today's episode, we'll be casting our ever-critical eye over another 10th edition datasheet. But today, we won't be looking at a primitive unit from the misguided and backwards Imperium, but instead, we shall be embracing the greater good, and in a channel first, we will be reviewing and deep diving a Tau datasheet. And it seems only natural that the first datasheet we should look at is the Infantry Corps. Because every day in the Corps is like a day on the farm. Every meal, a banquet, every paging of fortune, every formation parade. I love the Corps. And so without further ado, let's fix bayonets. Strap our plastic sporks to the end of our pulse rifles and dive right into this thing.
You there! Do you like multi-part plastic sci-fi infantry that doesn't cost a kidney? Well, good news! The Mordian Glory channel is now officially sponsored by Wargames Atlantic. Wargames Atlantic sells fantastic sci-fi models which are perfect as alternative Imperial Guardsmen. This includes the Bulldogs, totally not Praetorians, or the Legrognards, which are totally not Mordians, Festorians, or Kriegers, all in one box. And the best bit is, Wargames Atlantic offers a bulk buy discount, and the more you buy, the bigger the discount. Perfect for amassing those huge platoons of guardsmen. So what are you waiting, you fool? Click on the affiliate link down below, get yourself some great models, and support the channel today.
As is our way in our progressive, forward-thinking and advanced civilization, free of the shackles of tradition, we shall begin the review of the strike team with its stat line. Movement of 6 inches is pretty normal for a humanoid-style light infantry, but it is very important to remember that one of the better detachments for the Tau is the Mont Car, which gives our entire army advance and shoot for the first 3 turns. This is really going to give the strike team some early game mobility, because 6 inches is fine, but being able to go an average of 9 to 10 inches and still being able to shoot with our basic Battleline infantry can be very helpful. Toughness 3 with a 4+ save and 1 wound isn't much to write home about in terms of defensive stats. But fortunately, our strike team's job is more to do things like screening and holding objectives, so their durability isn't all that important. As long as we can get enough of them to screen out any deep strikers, and there's a few survivors left over to dump their impressive objective control 2 onto objectives, then those are the most important things. Truth be told, that OC of 2 is probably the most important number on this stat line after the movement value, because movement is always the most important value because, say it with me, movement wins games. So I don't really care about the defensive stat line. The leadership is whatever, it's Battle Shock. Battle Shock is basically a waste of time in 10th edition. Objective control 2 and the movement to get there are the 2 most important things on this line of numbers. But that just about covers the stat line. What about the weapons and war gear? Well, each squad of Fire Warriors comes with 10 models in the squad, and you can't take any more or any less than that. You must always have 1 Fire Warrior Shazwi and 9 Fire Warriors. Now, regardless of whether they are the squad leader or the basic bozos, every single model comes equipped with a pulse pistol, a pulse rifle, and a close combat weapon. In truth, the pulse pistol and close combat weapon mean absolutely nothing, because if you ever find yourself anywhere near close combat, then something has gone horribly wrong, and neither of those 2 weapons are going to help you. The pulse rifle, on the other hand, is actually a pretty decent weapon. Pulse rifles are rapid fire 1, which means within half range they get an extra shot, and they have a 30-inch range, which is actually about 6 inches longer than the average infantry weapon in Warhammer 40k. Things like las guns and bolters, the baseline, the absolute baseline for infantry weapons in this game typically have about a 24-inch range. And there are a lot of weapons which are a lot shorter range than that as well. You tend to find things like carbines, shuriken, catapults, stuff like that. They are a shorter range, maybe 18 inches or even 12 inches, and some weird Necron weapons tend to be about like 14 inches. But the point is that most infantry weapons tend to be 24 inches or less in range. Actually being higher than that on a basic Battleline unit is noteworthy. So 30 inches combined with rapid fire 1 means that often you're going to be in range with your weapon, and on top of that, it's quite easy to get into rapid fire range as well. In terms of the damage output, you get 1 shot, obviously that goes up to 2 in rapid fire range, at ballistic skill 4+, strength 5, AP 0, damage 1. Now, the AP 0 and damage 1 don't look like much on paper, but it is important to note that there are a number of ways that you can boost the AP on weapons like strike teams. For example, I'll keep referring to Montcar because that is the detachment I think it's my personal favorite, to be honest. There is a stratagem in there that lets you get extra AP on a couple of units. And don't forget that you might not have inbuilt AP, but you are more than likely going to be ignoring cover because of the fact that many Tau units have marker lights. Some of your best spotting units like Pathfinders and Stealth Suit teams have marker lights. Now, marker lights mean that when you are shooting a unit which has been marked up, that unit can't benefit from cover. And there are a lot of units out there, a lot of enemy units out there, which might be on a 4-up save that go down to a 3-up save in cover. Well, if you're ignoring that cover, they're back on their 4-up save, and that could make a world of difference. So whilst the AP might not look like much, it is very possible to ignore cover, and it is also very possible to get a pip of AP on top of that as well. In my experience, I have had Fire Warriors really punch well above their weight through a combination of ignore cover, guiding, extra AP, and lethal hits from Montcar. We're talking about a weapon which on paper should be struggling to tickle Space Marine intercessors, and a weapon which, via the buffs that Tau can easily stack, has been able to bring down things like Sanguinary Guard and Death Company. The number one selling point of this weapon is not only its range, but also its strength. Strength 5 is a big deal. It means that even though you're only hitting on 4s at base, you're actually wounding most enemy infantry on 3s, because T4 is pretty standard for enemy infantry, and T3, in both those situations, you're wounding them on 3s. Combine that with the fact that you are going to be getting +1 to your ballistic skill because of being guided, and you actually have a standard infantry weapon which can be hitting on 3s and wounding on 3s with ignores cover. Now, I ask you that. Where else can you find something like that on a standard Battleline infantry trooper? Marines don't have that. Marines will hit on 3s, but against other Marines, they're going to wound on 4s. So the pulse rifle, it's easy to overlook and dismiss it, but it actually does have the capability of punching up. And what's really important about all of this, the number one factor is this is all a bonus. This is all a Brucey bonus. Because like I said at the beginning of the video, we're here for the movement. We're here for the objective control. Any damage that the pulse rifle can do on top of this is genuinely just free real estate. It's not even the number one reason we're taking these guys. Moving on, we do have some war gear options. One of them being that any Fire Warrior can replace their pulse rifle with a pulse carbine. I don't recommend you do this, even though pulse carbines look really cool. The reduction in range by 33% to just get 2 shots all of the time does not feel worth it. Bear in mind, you will be getting rapid fire on the pulse rifle at 15 inches, so there's a very limited window and when this pulse carbine is getting any leg over the pulse rifle. Rule of cool, it's a winner, but competitively, pulse rifles all the way. The real war gear choice here is what you are going to put on your sergeant. The Fire Warrior Shazwi can take up to 2 drones, and it can take duplicates unless it specifically says otherwise. You can take a Guardian drone, a gun drone, a marker drone, or a shield drone. Now, there's absolutely no point in ever taking the marker drone. The marker drone's whole thing is it gives your unit the marker light keyword. But as you will see, Fire Warriors already have the marker light keyword inbuilt to their datasheet. This is not a keyword they picked up because of marker drone. No, they already have it. So ignore the marker drone. The shield drone is an interesting option. It gives you an extra wound. You could take 2 of those and have a 3 wound Fire Warrior Shazwi. There is something there, but personally, I don't really rate the shield drone on a ship muncher unit like this. He's going to die. You don't really need the extra wound. What I would do is always take the Guardian drone. Now, you can only take 1 of these, and we'll get to what the Guardian drone does in just a moment. But I would always take the Guardian drone, and then screw it, take a gun drone on top. Now, the gun drone, that essentially is armed with a twin pulse carbine. So it's a pulse carbine that is twin linked, so it has rerolls to wound, which is quite nice. The only problem with the pulse carbine on the gun drone is that it does hit a ballistic skill 5+, but bear in mind you'll be guided more than likely, so you'll be hitting on a 4s. It's just a tiny bit of extra damage output, and in a detachment like Montcat or Cayune, if you're getting sustained hits, in a detachment like that, having a few extra lethals or sustained hits is probably more viable than a sergeant having an extra wound. In a world where not AP, damage 2 and damage 3 is everywhere, the extra shield drone doesn't really do anything. So honestly, the gun drone is just there because it's the best out of the rest of these ship munchers on the strike team. The real deal is the Guardian drone. Now, the Guardian drone means that you are -1 to wound against ranged attacks. Now, that is not -1 to wound against ranged attacks which have got a higher strength than your toughness. It's just always -1 to wound. Now, being toughness 3, normally that means someone's going to hit you with an anti-infantry weapon that's strength 4. It goes back to wounding you on 4s rather than 3s. But it is important to note that if you do face off against something like Guard, who are going to have strength 3 lasguns that would normally wound you on 4s, they are going to wound you on 5s. So the Guardian drone is just fantastic because it just makes the strike team that much harder to kill. And rather than focusing on like one model, the Guardian drone affects all of the models in the Fire Warrior unit. Having a screening unit that is just inbuilt -1 to wound from shooting is very, very important. That's going to make it just that little bit harder for your opponent to clear the way for his assault units. But what really gets crazy is how the Guardian drone can effectively stack with the abilities of the Fire Warriors, so especially Suppression Volley. In your shooting phase, after this unit has shot, select one enemy infantry unit hit by 1 or more of those attacks. Bear in mind, we are in an elite infantry meta, so that's actually more relevant than you think. Until the start of your next turn, whilst unit is on the battlefield, that enemy unit is suppressed. While the unit is suppressed, each time model in that unit makes attack, subtract 1 from the hit roll. So your Fire Warriors are -1 to wound, and they can make an enemy unit -1 to hit. This is your basic battle line unit. We're getting the enemy's -1 to hit, -1 to wound, whilst you're running around at +1 to hit, ignoring cover, lethal hits. Just look at the disparity there. You know, your buffs might put you up here, and their debuffs might put them down here. Individually, there might not be a huge, step up, a huge step down, but combined, there is a big chasm between the enemy and your Fire Warriors now, thanks to how all of these things interlock and interstack. And it is very important to note that Suppression Volley not only affects ranged attacks, it also affects melee attacks. And anytime that you can just have a few of your Fire Warriors survive, it means you've got that OC in the bank, in the bag. It's another action monkey you've got available to you. So these defensive buffs should not be dismissed. They shouldn't be over-exaggerated, though. If a unit of Khorne Berserkers goes into a unit of Fire Warriors, even if they're suppressed, they're probably going to butcher through them, okay? So don't overestimate how durable your Fire Warriors are, but be aware that your opponent is probably going to take more firepower and more combat than they expect or that they want to clear away, especially in a more balanced army if you're going into something like Marines or Take All Comers Guards, something like that. Oh, one quick side note before I forget, the Guardian drone is actually really good at helping protect you against Overwatch as well, because it's all range attacks. So you can move out with your Fire Warriors, your opponent might Overwatch you, you'll probably end up surviving the Overwatch, and then you can do that objective or start spotting and stuff like that. So the Guardian drone is a very nice piece of war gear. The last thing to talk about with the strike team is the DS8 support turret. This is something that is very often overlooked. In your movement phase, if your unit remains stationary until the start of your next movement phase, its Fire Warrior Shazwi model is equipped with the support missile system weapon. This is basically a two-shot... It's like a pulse carbine that can shoot out of line of sight. That's the best way of looking at it. It fires 2 shots, twin-linked, and it hits a ballistic skill, I think like 5+ or something, and it's indirect fire. It might hit a ballistic skill 4+, but when you shoot indirect fire, it hits a 5+. But the point is, it's a little 2-shot pissant weapon. But the big thing about it, and this is why it often gets overlooked, because people just go, oh, it's just 2 random pulse rifle shots, and I have to stay still to get it. Nah, I'm all right. Indirect fire is huge. Look at this. It's indirect fire. It's twin-linked. It's got a 30-inch range. It fires 2 shots. It is ballistic skill 5+ as standard, so it will be hit on 6s out of line of sight, so bear that in mind. But it interacts with suppression volley. Suppression volley at no point says you need line of sight. It just says if you've shot someone, then they get -1 to hit. Now, if you stay still with your support turret, let's say you've staged a unit up and there's no need for it to run out there just yet, then your little pissy support turret can fire its 2 missiles out, and if it manages to get a hit, then that enemy unit is suppressed, even if nothing else from the strike team shoots at them. The DS8 support turret, it's not a great weapon, but it has the potential to be extremely frustrating for your opponent, as these 2 little fireworks go pew, and the Space Marine goes, oh my god, fireworks, oh I can't handle it, it's too exciting. So the DS8 support turret, it gets overlooked, but it shouldn't do, because it kind of is crazy with suppression volley. So let's just add all of this together. We've got a unit which is weirdly durable, thanks to easy access to -1 to wound and -1 to hit, has surprisingly good firepower, can ignore cover, can be a marker light unit itself, can throw grenades at people, and also has some crazy ass indirect fire jank as well. And it's OC2. All of this for only 75 points is an absolute steal. I'm going to say something bold here. But I personally believe when utilized correctly, strike teams are one of, if not the best Battleline infantry in the entire game. Yeah, they may not be as flashy. Yeah, they may not do as much raw damage as a fully supported unit of breachers. But for 75 points, that is an insane price point for everything that you are getting access to. The strike team might not be flashy, but it does the job that you want it to do. Hold objectives, back up marker lights, and piss your opponent off. And screening. All of that for a points cost in the same region as a squad of guardsmen. Let me tell you, as a guard main, if I could take strike teams over guardsmen, there's a real chance that I would. A real chance. But of course, all of this is just like my opinion, man. Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Are you a fan of the strike team, or are you a believer in the cult of the breacher? And what would you take here? Strike teams, breachers, or carnivores? Something to be said for those cheap carnivores. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to smash that like button. And if you want to see more content like this, and if this video does well, then subscribe to never miss a Tactica.
Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing. Truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members. So thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Redfield, 32, Jurgens, Miasma, Try Again, Bragg, RJ, Scorpion, Bonbon Vert, Lord Pryor, Nicholas Walsh, John Stubbs, Guardian, Varney, Sword, Fish Trombone, Pickalock, The Forged. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.